Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to try and give you a comprehensive analysis into the Ferguson versus Lee matchup which happens next week. I'm going to argue that this fight on paper, statistically, it's a bit of a mismatch, but then I'm going to tell you why I don't mind, because watching Tony Ferguson fight is always a pleasure. While I'm going to try and stay as impartial and objective as possible, I do want to point out that I've been a Tony Ferguson fan ever since his Ultimate Fighter days. As far as I'm concerned, the statistics never tell the whole story, but what they do tell us is how successful a given fighter has been in their career with regards to different phases of the game, meaning takedowns, striking, etc. Let's get to the statistics first, and then I'm going to talk about some of the intangibles. So here's some numbers that really stood out to me when I was looking at Tony Ferguson's fight metrics statistics. And keep in mind that lightweight has historically been the most stacked division in the UFC, and that's because most individuals weigh around 155 pounds. And as far as I'm concerned, being rated top 5 in any of these metrics suggests that a fighter is talented and consistent in their work. Tony Ferguson is ranked number 3 in striking differential among active lightweights. He's also ranked number 4 in most significant strikes landed per minute among active lightweights. While his submission average is 1.6, he has almost as many wins by submission than he does by knockout, which basically means that whenever he does try to submit you, he's usually successful. To put that more into perspective, he has 8 submission victories in his career, and he's attempted a total of 13, which gives him a 62% chance of being successful once he has a submission locked in, which is amazing. He has an 80% takedown defense rate, which is pretty enormous, especially in this fight against Kevin Lee, who, if he's going to be successful in this fight, needs to take this fight to the ground. Now, if we contrast that with Kevin Lee's game, Kevin Lee has an average straight striking accuracy and less than average takedown accuracy. He's pretty active on the feet, but what the statistics don't tell us is he becomes a lot more active once he has top control, and that's where his game truly shines. His takedown defense is a little worse than Tony Ferguson, so not bad, but we all know that Tony doesn't necessarily look for takedowns, or if he does, they're not exactly traditional takedowns. And when it comes to submission average, he averages about the same as Tony Ferguson. Now that we have the statistics out of the way, and I've hopefully convinced you that to a certain extent this fight is a bit of a mismatch on paper, let's talk about some of the intangibles that make this fight special. For Kevin Lee, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. He's getting a top 5 guy opponent without having fought any top 5 guys himself. He should be healthy and he should be motivated, and that's a dangerous enough opponent for anyone. The fact that he's young means that by definition he's durable. What really stands out to me in Kevin Lee's game is his tremendous ground and pound ability, and that's what usually leads him to his rear naked choke finishes. If you watch that Chiesa fight again, the amount of ground and pound he landed, I mean, I don't care what your surname says, those strikes will wilt anyone. In fact, I would probably rate him in the top 5 best ground and pound in the whole lightweight division. When you're fighting guys as young as Kevin Lee, headhunting is just not a good idea unless you catch him clean with a strike that he does not see coming, which Tony Ferguson is more than capable of. But if he headhunts Tony, that is, I don't think that'd be a very good strategy, because someone as young as Kevin Lee can recover twice as fast as someone who's, say, in their mid-30s. A big part of what makes Kevin Lee successful is his tremendous physicality that carries him in the cage. You can tell he spends a lot of time in strength and conditioning, making sure that he arrives in the fight at peak physical condition. Now, when it comes to Tony Ferguson, there are so many things you have to think about when you have to face him. The amount of techniques he pulls off just tires you prematurely because there's simply so much stimuli that your brain has to process, you know. So some of the questions I'd be asking myself if I was fighting Tony Ferguson would be like, are we striking or are we grappling? Can I move my head, or is he gonna grab it, snap me down, and choke me out in 60 seconds? If I get caught in his darts and somehow survive, will I have enough energy to mount a comeback? If I take him down, will I really get solid opportunities to land ground and pound? Or will he cut me to shreds with his elbows from the bottom? Will I have to fight blinded by my own blood? If I take him down, would that be a giant waste of time? You get the idea. Fighting someone as unpredictable as Tony Ferguson is one of the most stressful situations any fighter can get themselves into. He's simply so creative in the cage, and that's why I'm a big fan of his. Now, if we contrast that with Kevin Lee's game, it's pretty cut and dry, you know what I mean? He's pretty predictable. You know what he's trying to do. He's trying to take you down, ground and pound you, and hopefully submit you. And one of the reasons why Lando Venata was able to be so successful against Tony Ferguson was because he upped him on the unpredictability level. And the irony is that one of Tony Ferguson's biggest weaknesses is his greatest strength, unpredictability. I know that anything can happen in MMA, and it's a cliche for a reason because there's so many ways to win and so many ways to lose. But I just don't see many ways that Kevin Lee wins this fight unless he's consistently able to take Tony Ferguson down and create something meaningful once he does get it there. At this point, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you do disagree with me, please let me know in the comments and we can discuss it. And please do subscribe if you appreciate this content, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye.